Welcome to the 2024 Senate election breakdown. Less than a month before voters go to the polls, we're diving into the crucial Senate races that will determine control of Congress for the next 2 years. Republicans have a strong shot at flipping the Senate majority, and today's video will show you why. If you want to stay ahead of the curve and see how these races are shaping up, keep watching. Let's get started. In 2024, Republicans have a clear advantage. Democrats face the difficult task of defending 23 out of the 34 Senate seats up for grabs this November, including 8 of the 10 most competitive races. Among those are 3 states that Trump won in both 2016 and 2020: Montana, Ohio, and West Virginia. Despite the numbers being in their favor, the question remains: can Republicans get the job done? Nothing is certain yet, and a few key races could determine which party controls the Senate come January. Let's start with the states that are considered safe for Democrats, meaning I'm at least confident the party will hold these seats, usually because the states lean heavily Democratic or the incumbents are very popular. On the Pacific Coast, 4-term incumbent Mariah Cantwell is running for re-election in Washington. She secured 58% of the vote in 2018, and Washington hasn't elected a Republican to the Senate since 1994. With Biden carrying the state by 19 points in 2020, there's little doubt that this seat will stay blue. Next, we have California, where longtime incumbent Dianne Feinstein passed away in October 2023. LaFonza Butler was appointed to replace her, but opted not to run for a full term. Congressman Adam Schiff advanced through the state's nonpartisan primary, beating out fellow Democrats Katie Porter and Barbara Lee. Schiff is expected to cruise to victory against Republican Steve Garvey, a former LA Dodger, in this heavily Democratic state, which Biden won by 29 points. In Hawaii, Senator Mazie Hirono is running for a 3rd term. She was last re-elected with 71% of the vote, making her the top vote-getter in either party in 2018. This deep blue state remains firmly in the Democratic column. Moving to New Mexico, 2-term incumbent Martin Heinrich is running for a 3rd term. He won re-election in 2018 with 54% of the vote in a 3-way race. Biden won New Mexico by 11 points, and polling suggests Heinrich has a comfortable 10-point lead. This state is another Democratic stronghold. In Minnesota, Amy Klobuchar, a Democratic powerhouse, is running for her 4th term. Klobuchar consistently wins by over 20 points, and while the state is competitive in presidential elections, with Trump trailing Kamala Harris by only a few points, Klobuchar's personal popularity ensures this Senate race won't be close. Virginia is another safe blue state for Senate races. Tim Kaine, the 2016 Democratic vice presidential nominee, is seeking a 3rd term. He won re-election in 2018 with 57% of the vote, and current polling shows him leading by over 10 points, securing his spot as a solid Democratic hold. New York's incumbent Kirsten Gillibrand is running for a 3rd full term. She last won re-election with 67% of the vote, and despite New York trending slightly to the right, Republican challenger Mike Sapercone faces an uphill battle in a Biden plus 23 state. As for Vermont and Massachusetts, independent Bernie Sanders, who caucuses with the Democrats, and Elizabeth Warren are both heavily favored to retain their seats. Both states are among the bluest in the country, with Biden winning by over 30 points. Sheldon Whitehouse, Rhode Island, and Chris Murphy, Connecticut, are both 3-term incumbents running for re-election in safe Democratic states. Both won by over 20 points in 2018, and there's no indication that these seats will flip. In Maine, independent Senator Angus King, who caucuses with Democrats, is seeking re-election. He remains one of the most popular senators in the country, and despite Maine's competitive nature in presidential races, King is expected to hold his seat comfortably. In New Jersey, the corruption scandal surrounding Bob Menendez is creating some turbulence. However, the Democratic nominee, Congressman Andy Kim, is favored to succeed him. Given the state's strong Democratic lean, Biden won by 16 points. In Delaware, with Tom Carper retiring, Lisa Blunt Rochester is expected to win easily in Biden's home state. Maryland should go in the likely Democratic section after New Jersey and Delaware, or in a new likely Democratic section, given Larry Hogan's entry into the race and the slight competitive edge. It's still a safe bet for Democrats, but with Hogan, it's worth noting the small risk, so it fits best here in terms of pacing. With these 15 safe seats, Democrats are now at 43 total seats, 8 shy of a majority if Kamala Harris wins re-election as vice president and retains her tie-breaking vote. Now let's switch gears to the safe Republican seats, starting with Utah, where Republicans nominated Congressman John Curtis to succeed Mitt Romney. Romney chose to retire, but Utah has not elected a Democrat to the Senate in 50 years, so this seat is safely in GOP hands. In Wyoming, Republican John Barrasso is running for a third term. In Nebraska, Deb Fischer is also seeking re-election. Both states are solidly red, but Fischer's race is interesting due to the recent rise of independent Dan Osborne, making this race worth watching, though she's still expected to win. Republican incumbents Kevin Cramer, North Dakota, and Josh Hawley, Missouri, are seeking second terms. Both states went for Trump by wide margins, and both senators are expected to win easily. In Mississippi and Tennessee, Republicans Roger Wicker and Marsha Blackburn are both running for re-election in states that haven't elected a Democratic senator since the 1980s. These races are not expected to be competitive. Indiana's Jim Banks is running to replace Mike Braun, who is leaving the Senate to run for governor. Braun's departure won't make a difference for Republicans in this deep red state. In West Virginia, popular Republican Governor Jim Justice is expected to flip the seat currently held by Democrat Joe Manchin, who announced his retirement. Justice's strong support means this seat is a near certain GOP pickup. With these safe Republican seats, the GOP climbs to 48 seats, 2 shy of a majority. Now, let's look at the remaining competitive seats, where the outcome is less certain. Republicans are targeting several Democratic-held seats in states like Montana, Ohio, and the battlegrounds of Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, while Democrats are hoping to make gains in Texas and Florida. Senator Ted Cruz is up for re-election in Texas, and while he narrowly won in 2018, polling shows him leading Democratic challenger Colin Allred by 5 points. Cruz remains favored, but this is a race Democrats are hoping to make competitive. In Florida, Rick Scott is facing a closer-than-expected race against Democrat Debbie Mucarsel-Powell. Scott's lead has shrunk to just over 4 points, with some polls even showing a 1-point gap. While Scott is still favored, Democrats are gaining ground here. In Arizona, independent Senator Kyrsten Sinema chose not to run, setting up a contest between Democrat Ruben Gallego and Republican Kari Lake. Gallego leads in polling by an average of 6 points, making Arizona a likely Democratic hold. In Nevada, Senator Jackie Rosen is running for re-election. She leads her Republican opponent, Sam Brown, by an average of 8.5 points in recent polling. Despite the state's recent trends toward the right, Rosen has consistently maintained a strong lead, making Nevada a likely Democratic hold. In Wisconsin, incumbent Democrat Tammy Baldwin is seeking re-election. Baldwin enjoys a solid polling lead over Republican Eric Hovda and has consistently outperformed Harris at the top of the ticket. Wisconsin remains a lean Democratic state. Debbie Stabenow's retirement makes Michigan more competitive. But Democratic nominee Alyssa Slotkin has maintained a steady polling lead over Republican Mike Rogers. Michigan is leaning Democratic, but this race is worth watching. In Pennsylvania, incumbent Democrat Bob Casey Jr. is a political powerhouse. Having won 6 consecutive statewide elections, Casey currently leads his Republican challenger, David McCormick, by an average of 4 points. While Pennsylvania is a key battleground state in the presidential race, Casey is expected to outperform the top of the ticket and secure re-election, placing this race in the lean Democratic category. Finally, Ohio is one of the toughest states for Democrats to hold. Incumbent Sherrod Brown is running in a state that Trump won by 8 points. While Brown has consistently led in the polls, this race is likely to be close. Montana's Senate race is perhaps the biggest challenge for Democrats. Incumbent John Tester is up for re-election in a state that has trended heavily Republican. Tester is popular, but he faces a tough fight against Republican Tim Sheehy. With less than a month to go until the election, Republicans are the favorite to win control of the Senate, with a projected 52 seats to the Democrats' 48. However, several key races could still swing either way. Stay tuned as these races continue to develop in the final weeks before Election Day. And remember, if you enjoyed this breakdown, hit that subscribe button and drop a comment below with your thoughts on the map. Stay tuned for more content on the 2024 elections, and thanks for watching.